I need clarity on my relationship and the purpose of it. My soul knows what I should do, but my human self is trying to use logic and not hurt others. Okay, relationships. One of my favorite areas. So you guys might know that if you do a reading with me, my go-to is always to try to help relationships and to kind of find a way to make them work truly. Like that's like my lens usually, because I do feel that sometimes we give up too quickly. And I don't know, that our problems aren't always in the relationship. But it's easy to point the finger at our partner, right? Because they're there all the time. And when we're annoyed at something, it's just really easy to be like, it must be, you know, my relationship with this person. And sometimes that is like misplaced frustration. What I'm getting from this question is that it's not about the relationship, but it is about you needing space. So it feels like you actually need an eat, pray, love situation. So I don't know if you guys have ever read that book or watched the movie, but Elizabeth Gilbert, the writer, basically like is married and just like needs to quit the marriage. And then she starts traveling for I don't know how long or whatever. And it was really like a self-discovery. Like she needed to find herself. Like she needed a break from life almost, as kind of, and just a total newness, which in our culture, like we don't allow women to do that, you know, or we don't allow men to do that either. We think that that's abandonment, and you know, we think that all women and men should stick around with their kids, and like if they leave, they're abandoning and all this kind of stuff. So we're so afraid of that feeling. And I just applaud the person asking this question, because that's kind of like what they need, you know, and it feels like there's kids involved. So my sense is that a separation or like a self-discovery will have to be kind of part-time in a sense, because there looks like there's a, you know, a desire to be there for the kids in a kind of a back and forth. But there is definitely like a need to find myself, to I feel like you're this like flower that's just like a bud, and it just does not bloom. Like it's just like not blooming because of its environment. And it's really not about the partner. Like it doesn't seem like you have a bad partnership. It looks like there's a lot of love there, and there's a lot of love in the family, but there's a wild woman in you that is trying to express itself. And in your particular situation, the partner won't allow that. And the truth is that the partner is not going to like who you become. So it's like you've become as much as you can to be liked by the partner and to be like accepted by the partner. So you're kind of like a little bit bloomed, you know, but the full bloom is like not going to be to his liking. So that's what's scary. And it looks like you were okay for a while to like stay mid bloom, but now you're just like, I have to fully bloom. Like it's really painful. So there is a need, I'm like looking at flowers. There's a need to separate, to like leave. So I don't feel the question is of like divorce. I don't know if you're divorced, if you're married, but it's not really like about divorce or, you know, ending the relationship. It's separation. Like it is time alone. It is time. I see a trip, like I see some like traveling, maybe even traveling with the kids. I don't know if like you're going somewhere that you can take them with you or something, but there's a need for like, who am I without a partner? It's also like a healing of codependency, a healing of like thinking that that I'm nobody unless I'm like with a man, or that I can't support myself unless I have a man. So there's kind of like a healing of that codependency that like you're really itching for as well. And as for the partner, I kind of just feel like they're gonna find somebody else. Like there is a pattern of codependency, and again, a pretty like decent person. So somebody you know, like he'll be fine with, but he like needs a partnership. There's kind of like a mother wound there, it looks like. And there needs to be like somebody to, or even like, I don't know if you have daughters, but like one of the daughters will have to kind of be that person for him for the rest of his life. Like he needs this like woman, basically. I see there being like co-parenting, like coexisting, but it's almost like you need, I see you having like your own space and the ability to like go on trips, all that stuff. I see like lovers, but not necessarily like another long-term relationship. You're really becoming the wild woman. There's if you haven't read it, I love the book Women Who Run with Wolves. It's like a book from the 80s, but it's about the divine feminine and about like kind of becoming, and a lot of times like after being mothers, we go through that stage of like, I don't want to identify as a mother. I am a mother, I have kids and all that stuff, but I want to identify as like the wild self. And that's what you're coming into. So it's scary because it's the wild, you know, the wild is the unknown. It is not tamed, and your life is very tamed right now. Many of our lives are very tamed. You know, we are forced to like, you know, just fit into boxes, and like everybody gets married and has kids, and like this is how you do it, and like we have these like little structures, and it's tamed, you know, it's like manicured lawns, and you're really looking for wildflowers and, you know, nakedness and becoming the wild self. So it is new territory. It does feel like you're gonna find some mentors that like are living like the wild woman life. And I also feel like you're gonna have like a crowd that follows you eventually, like that this is also part of what you have to offer the world. It's also like this experience, you're in it, but after the experience, it's basically like, I just see like a lot of women coming after you, and not in a bad way, like following you. And this is part of like your offering. So, you know, there's no easy way to separate, but it feels like it's a gradual thing. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm handing you divorce papers if that's your arrangement. It just feels like I need to go, I'm gonna take a month and I'm gonna go, you know, to my parents, or I'm found this little apartment that's, you know, 5 minutes away from here. I'm gonna rent it. And you know, we can have the kids switch back and forth. So it feels like it's living arrangements first, or actual like physical space first. And then it's kind of like a natural evolution. I feel like you're gonna be off the hook when your partner finds another person. So you'll probably almost like wanna manifest that, because you know what's sad is that it's hard, because it's like, as much as you're trying, the relationship you're in, you're not loved for yourself. You're loved for what you represent and what you are. And that's hard, you know, like, and so many of us love that way, you know, like I love this person because like he's my partner and he does these things for me and he provides this way, but like, do we truly love the person? And are we in relationships that we are truly loved for being ourselves, for being the wildflower that we are? Or are we being loved for being like this manicured rose that, you know, is constantly being trimmed? And it's hard when we come to that realization, you know, it's sad to know that we put ourselves in those situations. And I just also want you to know that like, it's okay to want more, you know, it's okay to want to be loved for who you are. And the thing is, you're still discovering who you are. So that's why, you know, you also don't know how to be loved that way yet, but it's okay to want to be loved that way. And it's okay to recognize that like you're being loved for being a partner or a wife or a mother, or like, you know, somebody who's there, but maybe not for your full self. And it's okay to recognize that, and even to admit that, and to say that if it comes to it. So, yeah. Hope that was helpful, you guys. Sending a lot of love to anybody who resonated with this. When it comes to relationships, I know how hard it can be, and I just send you a lot of love and support. If there's anything I can do to support, if you guys want to drop things in the comment and maybe relate to each other, let me know. Love to see that. And I send you so much love, and I will see you next time.